Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening wherever you are. This is Oplerno Team Meeting 73. I'm Rob Skiff, and with us is Daniel Crompton.
Hi.
Dan Kirk is on sabbatical, and so what we're going to do is, let me tell you what the agenda is for the open part of the meeting. We're going to talk a little bit about the updates to Woodblock and some of the things we're doing on our website. Also, we'll talk about use of Slack in the webinar. Finally, news, an interesting article out of Japan about universities abolishing the humanities and the social sciences at in their institutions. And we'll also go over the courses that are going to be offered in the next several weeks. So let me first do that. We've got really three really interesting courses that are coming up for enrollment, and one is about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which is starting September 14th with Chris Ferrero. If those of you who don't know Chris should understand that he has a lot of experience in terms of working in the Middle East on issues related to Iran, Iraq, and also, of course, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So take a look at his class on enroll.oplerno.com. We also have Principles of Geology, a science course, which is starting September 13th. And we're going to be focusing on understanding the processes that shape the Earth, the materials that comprise the Earth, and how they affect our lives. Topics covered in this course will include plate tectonics, minerals, rocks, volcanoes, weathering, mass wasting, earthquakes, geologic structures, and a lot of other stuff. So sign that up. It's especially a good class if you have an undergraduate science credit that you want to get out of the way. Finally, we also have Critical Thinking and Introduction to Reasoning. And that's a course that's going to be offered September 7th. Every one of us, and let me read you a little description. Every one of us has many beliefs, and we continue to form new beliefs every day, but without critically reflecting them, we will likely hold many false ones. This course introduces students to critical thinking, where we examine how to look at what we think, and in particular, we learn how to examine a support system in virtue of the reasons offered or that can be offered. So take a look at the class. It starts on September 7th, Critical Thinking. As with all Oplerno courses, you can examine the syllabus, the course description, and also email the professor before you take the class. And please remember that if you're taking a class with Oplerno, that you should contact us so that we can work with you to transfer that credit to another institution. There's also, later in September, another section of the history of the CIA, which was one of our most popular classes with Jeff Morley. That class has been accepted as continuing legal education credit in a couple of states, and we can work with you if you're a lawyer or if you're a student to have those courses transferred for that or to another regionally accredited school. So Jeff Morley will be teaching that. Okay. So now what we're going to do is in this short meeting, and by the way, if you have any questions, please send them to questions@oplerno.com, or you can live tweet them to us at Twitter. First off, I'd like to hand this over to Daniel, who will take you through a look at our Woodblock website.
Yeah, so we have recently been changing things up. We loved Woodblock. I mean, we really loved Woodblock. We love the type of interaction that we're getting, and we love the type of feedback we're getting. I mean, the first time that we did it for 4 days, we had the time of our lives for 4 days. It was very stressful. Last time we did it for 1 day, we just the time of our life, got so much information, talked to so many fantastic people, and we thought, well, why are we having Woodblock only for 1 day of the year? This is higher education, or change in higher education, or revolution in higher education, or whatever you want to call it. It isn't only 1 day a year. It's every single day. And so what we wanted to do is to take or what Bob suggested, which I think was a fantastic idea, was to take Woodblock and take the essence of Woodblock, which is talking to people who are educators, people who really know their stuff, and to translate that to a continuing. I was going to say saga, but that's probably not the word. But it's a continued story, yeah. So what we've done for that is we've set up the blog. Well, we had a blog already on Oplerno, so we set here up on a blog, and we're now including interviews and discussions with people that we have. I think the last one was with Mariano Agoran, a educator and from South America, from I think Argentina, if I remember correctly. Really,
yeah, from Buenos Aires. Yep.
Such an interesting interview. I mean, it was absolutely fantastic, and it touches on everything that is very important and everything. A lot of things that we're seeing in Latin America at the moment, and the quest for online education in Latin America is also why Rob has put out some calls for people who speak foreign languages, including Spanish, to come and help us to give courses and take courses. But we'll be filling Woodblock and with a lot of discussion with people from all over the world, and you'll be able to find the link on oplerno.com/blog, and it's also in the show notes of the YouTube video if you're watching on YouTube, and I'm going to post it now onto Crowdcast if you're watching on Crowdcast there.
Yeah, and this afternoon at noon Eastern Standard Time, and I'm just going to share, I will share my entire screen, but then I will stop sharing it. The running gag, of course, being that I am not necessarily great with this. What we're going to do is I've got an interview with Professor Sebastian Valenzuela from Chile, and we're going to be discussing social networks and revolutions along with academia.edu. Sebastian is a real expert. If you go to the link on our website, sorry, if you go to the link on this Woodblock interview on the section that says details, you can pull up his CV and a bunch of the articles that he's written. He's one of the top 3 published authors on academia.edu, and his articles generally deal with social networks and revolutions, generally dealing with students, so people from anywhere from 18 to 24. And so we're going to be talking a lot about social network theory and sort of how to approach the higher education market in Latin America, because that's one of the areas that Oplerno is targeting for growth. And it'll also be a lot of fun because the big secret at this interview is that Sebastian was in the first class I ever taught as a teacher at Colegio Americano in Ecuador. And so I'm going to be with the edit button, because we're not going to tell stories about him as a freshman or me as a first-year teacher and all the mistakes we did. But what's really interesting about that particular group at Colegio Americano is that many of them have gone on to get their PhDs in all kinds of subjects, ranging from social theory to sociology to anthropology, and also architecture at some of the really at some prestigious colleges and universities, both in Latin America, the US, and Europe. So it'll be fun to take a look at that and participate in the discussion. If you have questions, please submit them to skiff@oplerno.com, and of course you can go and watch watch us when it goes live in about 2 hours. So this is one of the ways in which we're using social media to reach out to people and generate a lot more sort of interaction.
Yeah, indeed. I'm looking forward to this one, but this is in our continued Woodblock series. It's a fantastic interview which is going to come up, and especially there are so many places in the world that we haven't covered, say in Woodblock, and we haven't covered in other spaces. There's in-depth, or there's jump into other areas of the world, especially Latin America and perhaps Asia in the future. Is absolutely great. I'm looking forward to it.
So make sure that you bookmark that. We'll also, of course, it'll be recorded on YouTube, and we'll send it out. So let's see. Let's go to the next item on the agenda, which is news. And Daniel, you found this headline, which is 26 universities to abolish humanities and social sciences. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, I was silly enough not to get the for the link in here, but there was or in the show notes. Let me just get the newspaper article. It's actually from a reputable, or from, as far as I know, from a reputable Japanese newspaper. Of the 86 universities that were polled for this article, 26 of them said that they no longer wanted to, or they were going to cancel all the humanities and social sciences courses they felt that's, I want to get this quote right because I don't want to, of course, tar them with the bad brush, but they wanted to do it because the let me check. Okay, so they conducted a survey among the presidents of all the 86 national newspapers of universities across the nation to ask about faculty reform. And they received results from 81 of them. Most of the universities said they plan to abolish the no certificate courses that don't require students to obtain teaching certificates in their teaching training faculty. They want to stop recruiting courses or they want to stop recruiting people for certain education courses. They don't believe that this is sustainable. And there was one very interesting, where's the quote? Oh, yeah. Put on the spot, of course, you can never find the quote. Basically, the idea is that they think that the study of humanities and social sciences is important to education, but it has to be reviewed to ensure that they're actually receiving the quality of information of education. Now, I know in the United States and in Europe, there's been this discussion whether all these soft sciences, as they're called, are really sciences to be in the first instance. And I think this is one of the discussions. This is possibly one of these discussions which is now happening in Japan as well.
Yeah, as colleges and universities and as economies become more focused on the STEM fields, there is the real push to cut or get rid of humanities classes and social sciences. Of course, that's a big mistake because you need both. But not surprised the debate is happening in Japan. Let's hope it doesn't. Let's hope those faculty put up some resistance to this. We can, if you shoot me that URL, I would love to bring that up with Sebastian, because my suspicion is that's also happening in Latin America. All right, the only other thing that I'd like to go over is we're revamping the faculty support and also faculty engagement. Daniel and I will be doing that over the next week. So be prepared for sort of a bunch of different emails that you're going to be getting, and to talk with you about where we're at and what we're up to and how you can help. Just a small update. Remember that we are now having a lot of interest from different educational institutions in Vermont and also outside the US who want to partner with us. And Greg Sadler sent me a great email this weekend where he pointed out, hey, Rob, you guys are doing good work, but you've got to send me students. Okay, you've got to help me track students or provide me with students to take the classes. Now I'm going to send out the Oplerno update this this month in the next couple of days. But for those of you listening, we totally hear that and we agree with you. we're trying to work on all kinds of different acquisition channels for students that include both, doing this outreach online, but we also think that most likely acquisition channels, unless they come from sort of academic stars like Greg Sadler and Jeff Morley and a few others who have a very large online presence, that a lot of these are going to come from institutions that we partner up and sign on. And that's what we're going to be focusing our efforts on in the next couple of months, in addition to the social media piece. But it's really these institutional alliances that are important, because what they do is they allow us to provide these schools with high quality education, and at a rate that you all have decided in terms of, if you're a faculty member, you all have decided with your classes. And it allows us also to reach out to people outside North America who really want outside North America and Europe, who really want an education from an American university. And we think that this type of institutional affiliation, where we can also work on recruitment and sending them both to our classes, but also potentially programs at institutions, is really, really important and the way to go. But Oplerno is going to be here for a very long time. We know that what we're doing is making and will make a big difference for both faculty and students in the higher ed field. And we're just going to keep plugging away at getting traction and working with institutions on this idea of the open learning organization, which is Oplerno. So let's just check, did any questions come through? Because I don't see any. And just a shout out to Professor Pam. We're going to be getting you all set with those new course shells, and we really appreciate, again, all the support from faculty, and also all the really constructive feedback that you guys are giving us as we grow and build. So without further ado, have a good morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you are, and we'll see you online.
See you online.